I'm Jacob Courtwright, and this is The Locker Room. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into The Locker Room. If you're a returning listener, welcome back, Locker Room faithful. If you are a new listener, welcome into The Locker Room Podcast. We are excited to have you joining us today. If you want to be a part of everything The Locker Room has going on, if you want to be a part of exclusive videos, exclusive content, if you want to be up to date on everything that goes on during the week, then follow us on our social media, TLR Podcast 615. That is TLR Podcast 615. Stay up to date with everything we have going on. Join in on free giveaways and so much more. This episode is brought to you by FNX Fitness. Go to fnxfit.com. That is fnxfit.com for all of your gym needs. From clothing to equipment to supplements to recoveries to gainers. Everything you need to improve your gym experience, improve your life, look even better while you're in the gym and have the best equipment. Go to fnxfit.com. Use your promo code TLRHOST. That is TLR Host, all capitals, and I will give you 15% off your first order. So join the FNX family today. Two more episodes left in this month's Halloween specials. We have this week and next week, and then no more. Then it's November, my birth month. Then it's Christmas time. And I can't tell you how excited I am for Christmas. We'll definitely have a lot of fun things happening on this podcast for Christmas. For those of you who do follow me on my social media or follow us on social media, you have seen that I do have a new podcast coming out as well. It's called That's Life. It will debut sometime this year. And it's a podcast just simply about life, whatever random subjects I want to talk about. So I'd love for you to check that out when it's available, but I did want to answer a few questions. No, the Locker Room Podcast is not going anywhere. And not only is the Locker Room Podcast not going anywhere, there's a lot of things I've been working on, and since I'm a solo act here, it's taken a lot of time, and it does take a lot of time to shoot the podcast, edit the podcast, upload it, when I'm just doing everything by myself, and put out weekly content, like the Take Fives, and try and stay up to date on all that. So there's a lot that I'm streamlining, a lot that I'm still working on, but the Locker Room Podcast is stronger than ever. So I really appreciate the Locker Room faithful, for everybody worrying. It's not going anywhere, so you do not have to worry. Nonetheless, That's Life will be debuting this year, so it is going to be a lot of fun. And if you like this podcast, I think you'll really like That's Life. And it's also a podcast that's just not for the sports fanatic. Like, I understand the Locker Room Podcast is a very niche market for you sports lovers like me. And That's Life is just going to be simply about life. So if you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or anybody that is not a massive sports fan but is a big podcast fan and wants to check that out, more updates for that when it comes. But the Locker Room Podcast is here to stay, so let's get on with it. Let's talk a little bit about this week's Halloween subject. So I want to talk a little bit about my famous Halloween pranks. I know you've probably heard of them around the world, but I've got some pretty good ones. So growing up, we were dumb, right? We're just dumb boys, and when you get a group of dumb boys together, dumb stuff happens. That's just how it works, okay? So every year on Halloween, all the guys were usually together, causing a lot of trouble, being dumb. Well, here's two occasions two stories that I want to tell you. So the first story is, it's Halloween. There's a group of us, Justin, who you've heard on the show, Seth, Dylan, and a few more that I can't really name off the top of my head right now. But there's a big group of us, and we decided, hey, we're going to go ding-dong ditching. It's Halloween night. It'll be funny because it'll be 2 a.m, and we'll go ding-dong ditching. Just classic. Well, for some reason, this year we decided that just ding-dong ditching wasn't enough. We decided that we needed to go intense. We said, listen, just ding-dong ditching is not enough this Halloween. We need to go crazy. So I had some leftover fireworks. More importantly, I had some leftover bottle rockets. Just the cheap bottle rockets, light. Nice little pop, bam, that's it. There you go. That sounds a little bit better. But it was just, we had a nice little firework collection. We had sparklers, and after, we tried to burn each other with those, we're like, well, this is boring. So then we found some Roman candles. We only had a few of those left. So we shot those at each other, and we're like, all right, well, one of us got burned, but now we're still bored. So let's go ding-dong ditching. But instead, we're going to amp it up by ringing the doorbell, planting a bottle rocket at the front door, and then lighting it. And then our thought process was they open the door, firework flies at them, it blows up in their house, no one gets hurt, everybody has a big laugh. Listen, that's not how that works. So don't think, for those of you who listen out there, don't get any ideas and think like, oh, I can just light fireworks at people and they'll be safe. Because, we were dumb and we thought that it would be okay. Now, thank goodness, there was only one house that actually opened up the door while the bottle rocket kind of went off, and it hit the front door. They didn't, it didn't go into the house. That was very close, though. So we literally were going house to house, and this is how dumb we were. We didn't go down 30 houses. We didn't go to a different neighborhood. We didn't walk half a mile and try. We did our next door neighbors to start out. I mean, we just said, listen, if we're going to get caught, we're going to get caught now. So my next door neighbor, Miss Lisa, and I'm sure she doesn't listen to this podcast, but if she did, if she ever does, I'm sorry in advance, okay? Nothing I can do. I was a dumb 15-year-old. But I knew that Miss Lisa only answered her back door. So we had put, and we went hard right out the gate. We put like four bottle rockets, all pointed at her back door. Banged on the door as loud as we can. Light. And it just started popping, and I could just hear yelling inside the house because she probably thought she was getting shot at. And I apologize for your trauma now, but that's how intense we used to get as kids. And we weren't kids. We were way too old. We were like 15, 16, 17, something like that. We were old enough to where we couldn't use the I'm a kid excuse. So that's one of the dumb pranks that we did when we were kids. And like I said, only one door actually opened. Another really funny story that we did is we also went, ding-dong ditching was kind of our thing, could you tell? We went ding-dong ditching, except we had a foreign exchange student. His name was Yoshin, and he had never been. So this was another Halloween night and another time, and so we were like, we're going to take you ding-dong ditching. So, Yoshin didn't understand the concept of ring and run. So Yoshin, we showed him how to do it, and he was like, oh, I don't know why you keep running. Why you keep running? I'm like, well, you don't want to get caught. So Yoshin, it's his turn. We get him set up. We tell him to go up to the house. He rings the doorbell. He's banging on the door. Boom, 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 boom. Ringing, bang, 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 bang. And he stands there. And so we're yelling, Yoshin, let's go, let's run. And so Yoshin looks back at us, and I will never forget how hard I laughed. He goes, don't worry. They have to get dressed. It take them a long time. And right as he's saying, don't worry, they have to get dressed. It take them a long time to come to the door. This dude rips open the door, dropping every word in the book, snatches the back of Yoshin's hood. And Yoshin just starts screaming, he not get dressed. Best time, literally one of my favorite stories of all time. And it's just like, the funniest thing is he just didn't understand the concept of ring and run. No matter how hard we tried to show him, no matter how many times we showed him, no matter how hard we preached it, he thought that in order for them to answer the door, they would have to put on like adult clothes. They'd put on like jeans and shoes, and he thought they'd have to get ready to come answer the door. I was like, man, that's not how this works. And that's another really, really funny story. It's a shorter story, but I mean, this dude just getting snatched up because he thought that they were going to have to put on shoes and stuff just to come answer the door. One of my favorites. And then probably my all-time favorite is Ding Dong Ditching with Justin is another story, right? My brother, you've seen him on the podcast. He's something else. Well, Justin did this thing where he would vandalize stuff, knock over decorations because, that's my brother for you. So Justin's bashing up this guy's yard and moving, this guy's got Halloween blow-ups and he's making them, do stuff to each other that's a little bit inappropriate. And so eventually this guy notices that we're all in his front yard. And more importantly, he notices Justin messing up his stuff. So all we hear is a door creak and all we hear is ch-ch. We look back, and this farmer has shotgun loaded, standing on his front porch, and he aims it. So we all take off. Well, the only way out of this guy's yard, because the quickest way, I guess, to get out of his yard was not to go straight, because straight you were going down his driveway, so you needed to go right into their giant cornfield, so you could lose him in the cornfield. Well, the cornfield, of course, is being guarded by barbed wire fence. So all of us have the stamina, have the athleticism to hop it, except for Justin. So this dude is super pissed. His Halloween decorations are destroyed. And Justin decides that he can't hop the barbed wire fence, so he tries to crawl through it. Gets caught in the barbed wire fence, and this dude starts taking legit shots. Now, I don't know if they were in the air. I don't know if they were at us. I was so far, for those of you who don't know, I'm very fast. I was so far ahead of everybody else that at one point I dead stopped and I couldn't find the house. That's how far into the cornfield I made it before anybody else did. Like, I was that far in. And so we hear just shotgun going off repeatedly. And finally, after about 45 minutes, everybody meets up, and Justin meets up, and he's bleeding, his shirt's ripped, and we're like, dude, what happened? He's like, you sons of guns, you left me in the barbed wire fence, and this man tried to kill me. So needless to say, we were not very successful and or smart when it came to ding-dong ditching, and my brother almost lost his life. Moral of the story is, if you're going to do a Halloween night prank, just TP somebody's house. You know, just make it simple. Don't add fireworks. Don't go break a bunch of dudes, decorations, because it's never going to end well. And also, don't take a foreign exchange student that has never, ever ding-dong ditched and doesn't understand the concept.
And that's the way the news goes.
All right, so let's talk a little NBA, because it is opening week of the NBA. I'm not going to do any game predictions or anything like that, but I do want to talk about something very important that Shaquille O'Neal brought up, and then I do want to give you my official NBA champion for the 2021-2022 season. My official, it's not going to change. I don't change. Like I said, even with injuries, I didn't change last year. I was stuck with the Lakers, and I said if the Lakers are healthy, they would win. They weren't healthy, therefore they didn't win. You know, so, I mean, I had a little scapegoat, I'm not going to lie. But I will give you my official championship predictions. But let's first talk about something very important that Shaquille O'Neal brought up. So this week on Inside the NBA, Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley and Kenny the Jet Smith and Ernie Johnson, the best, and I'm not joking, the best panel of sports talk show hosts of all time. That NBA on TNT is the greatest dynamic. Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley, of course, make the show. But honestly, Ernie Johnson, Kenny the Jet Smith, these guys do such a great job at making the show charismatic, making it interesting so often. And that's something that I strive to do, make this show interesting. So often, sports talk shows are boring as hell. The pregame shows are boring as hell. Now, the Sunday morning one with, oh, goodness gracious, I don't know why I'm blanking out on all their names right now, is not bad. And like the Thursday Night Football ones aren't bad with Terry and all those guys. But there's nothing quite like the NBA on TNT with Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal and those guys. It's just perfect chemistry. It's hilarious. I mean, Shaquille O'Neal had the crowd chanting, Barkley sucks, Barkley sucks. And I just, they're just so fun, and they make you laugh, but they're also very insightful. So I just want to give a big shout out to those guys. I love you, and I look up to you more than you probably know. But let's talk about what Shaquille O'Neal said. So Shaquille O'Neal made a point on Inside the NBA this week that, not Inside the NBA, but on NBA on TNT before the Boston Celtics game, that if LeBron James eclipses the scoring title, if he becomes the all-time leading scorer, he would not need another championship to be considered the greatest of all time. So I clearly am not saying I agree, because I already think LeBron James is the greatest of all time without the scoring title and without 6 rings. But here's what I would want to propose and kind of just want to get people's brains thinking about, because I am very serious about doing another Jordan versus LeBron podcast. I did one at the very, very beginning of the show, and now, guys, wow, we are 5 episodes in? Literally mind-blowing. It's so wild that I've done 75 episodes, and I still suck, so look at that, look at me go. But in all seriousness, like, I'm genuinely going to do another Michael Jordan versus LeBron James episode here in a couple months. But let's just say this, because this is a true fact. If you are a Michael Jordan's the GOAT or if you are a LeBron's the GOAT, you're not switching camps because of this stat line, and you're not going to ever switch camps. You see, the problem with the GOAT debate is that either side, depending who they go for, Jordan or LeBron, are all so dug in that even if LeBron James won 25 championships and, had all the titles in the world, scoring title, assist title, rebounding title, no one would care. Those Jordan guys are still going to say, well, Jordan's the best I've ever seen. Well, LeBron's the best I've ever seen. And here's the deal. Paul Westphal, which rest in peace, bless his soul, had him on the show at the very, very beginning, NBA Hall of Famer, died actually not too long ago, so very sad. But Paul Westphal made a very interesting point, and when I talked to him, I said, hey, listen, is Jordan the best you've ever seen? He said, Jordan's the best I've ever watched and ever seen in person. There's a difference. He coached against Michael Jordan when he was with the Phoenix Suns and lost to him in the NBA Finals. The GOAT debate cannot be generation by generation. It can be by era. And that's what Paul Westphal said. He said, there's GOATs of the eras. Michael Jordan, the best of his time. LeBron James, of course, the best of his time. It's so hard to try and intermix these guys back and forth. And the problem is even in football, I know we say Tom Brady's the greatest, which he is. And, I didn't want to ever admit that, but I definitely do admit that. We really don't compare it like we do the NBA. And Paul Westphal said, that's what he was saying. He's like, I don't understand why we don't respect the generational GOATs. And that's how I feel. Don't get me wrong. I think LeBron's the greatest of all time, but I've grown up with LeBron. I've watched LeBron. I've seen LeBron do things that I've never, I didn't grow up watching Jordan, but I have researched, trust me, for those of you who've listened to the first ever podcast I did against Jordan LeBron, I do my research when it comes to this stuff. And after researching it, I truly believe LeBron's the better overall basketball player. Not that he's won more, not that he has more stats, but he's the better overall player. Now, Jordan's, of course, the better overall scorer, greatest scorer of all time, but it's definitely down to a generational talent kind of a conversation for me personally. But since the world is not willing to have that conversation, we have got to go LeBron versus Jordan. We've got to have an all-time GOAT. And what I thought was interesting is that somebody like Shaquille O'Neal would come out and say that adding that scoring title to LeBron would make him the greatest of all time. Because it's getting a lot of pushback from the Jordan people. It's getting a lot of pushback from the naysayers on LeBron. So for me personally, I don't think that LeBron James getting the all-time scoring title would make him the greatest because I already believe he is the greatest. But here's what I would say to you, because we can argue LeBron versus Jordan all day long. Here's what I would say to you, the listener. What defines your GOAT? What defines the greatest of all time? What defines your definition of the greatest of all time? I've seen Michael Jordan. I've watched all of his games. We've all seen The Last Dance. I've witnessed LeBron James ever since I was a young boy, literally watched him play St. Vincent, St. Mary's, all the way till his first game in the NBA. Have loved him ever since I was a child, and that's never going to go away. I've always loved LeBron James. But I had to come to a realization as to what made my GOAT the GOAT. So that's, I guess, why I'm bringing it up and why I think Shaq makes an interesting point. Shaq said, this one thing would make him the GOAT. I think it's got to be an accumulation of a lot. So for me personally, my GOAT has to have a mixture of great stats and championships. The reason Tom Brady's my greatest of all time is not because he's undefeated in the Super Bowls, because he's not. It's not because he's, top 15 in stats, because he is. It's that he's top 5. It's that he's top 2. It's that he's the number 1 in a lot of stat categories and has, 6 Super Bowls to account for it? And I take that same logic to why LeBron James is my GOAT. He has 4 championships with 3 different teams. He's top 5. He's going to be top 5 in assists at the end of his career, probably top 3. He's going to be probably the all-time leading scorer in the NBA. And you can't bash people for their longevity. Tom Brady's the GOAT. LeBron James is the GOAT. I hope you understand my correlation as to why they are my GOATs. So what I'm asking you then, just as a friend, what defines your GOAT? I'm not going to get into LeBron versus Jordan, but I think that Shaq brought up an interesting point, and that he's getting people to start to realize and recognize that the GOAT conversation just can't be 6 for 6, never lost. The GOAT conversation can't just be stats, because then guys like Russell Westbrook would be considered one of the greatest of all time in the top 5, right? It can't be championships, because then Bill Russell's the greatest of all time. It's got to be a mixture, and he's finally starting that conversation. That's the point I'm trying to bring up here. It's not that Shaq brought up that if LeBron James does this, it will make him the GOAT, because I already think he's the GOAT. It's that Shaq is saying that's just another notch on LeBron James's belt, and that is something in Shaq's mind that would make him the greatest of all time. Because Shaq has realized that it's not just championships. It's got to be a mixture of championships and stats. And he even said that. He said that LeBron doesn't need another championship. If he just eclipses the scoring title, LeBron James is the greatest of all time. So I'm proposing this to you, and I'd love, this is definitely a segment that I want to hear from you. I want to get a message. I want to get a DM. This is the one time I'm asking you to DM me, to message me. Finally start to question. Finally start to break down what makes your GOAT the GOAT. What makes Jordan your GOAT? What makes LeBron your GOAT? Because I think if you get down to the root of it, you're probably a lot like me. It has to be a mixture of stats. It has to be a mixture of championships. LeBron creeping up with a 4th championship with 3 different teams brought LeBron into the GOAT status for a lot of people. But if LeBron eclipses the all-time leading scorer, does that start to shift your mind? Like I said, we are in a day and age where people bury down on what they believe. Democrats, Republicans, you're never going to change their minds. Jordan, GOAT, LeBron, GOAT. You're probably never going to change their mind. But I'm asking you to open your minds. I'm asking you to finally ask that question, what makes him the GOAT? Not because The Last Dance was a great documentary. Not because Jordan was a great scorer and he was so iconic and you love his shoes. Not because LeBron James is just a small kid from Akron. Not because LeBron James has highlight dunks and he's won championships. I just want to hear the conversation because NBA champions, NBA Hall of Famers, Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal are finally starting to open up the conversation. Just open your minds. This is a segment, like I said, I want to hear from you. What makes your GOAT the GOAT? Like I said, I want to hear from you. I want the DMs. I want the tweets. I want to know what makes your GOAT the GOAT because I think we've shut our minds off too much to this debate about the GOAT, and I think it's a lot closer than a lot of people think. And just keep in mind that LeBron James is going to go down as the NBA's all-time leading scorer, and that's pretty tough shoes to fill for you Jordan fans. Just saying, but we'll shy away from LeBron versus Jordan. I just thought Shaq brought a very interesting point up and gets that conversation rolling, which is always a lot of fun. It's controversy. You know, it pisses a lot of you Jordan fans off. It pisses us LeBron fans off. So it's just fun to poke the bear a little bit, ease into the conversation. Now, let me give you my NBA champion for the 2021-2022, if I could speak properly, season. Without watching the Los Angeles Lakers play a game, without watching the Brooklyn Nets play a game, without watching the Milwaukee Bucks play a game, my champion for the NBA season this year is going to be, drumroll please, it's the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't even know why we're pretending that it's not going to be. I have always said a healthy LeBron James is still the best player in the NBA. I will continue to say a healthy LeBron James is the best player in the NBA. We saw what he did on opening night, and that was just LeBron playing around. And that was with Russell Westbrook literally not even playing decent, let alone good. The Los Angeles Lakers are going to be just fine as long as they stay healthy. They have the best combination of stars in the NBA. LeBron and Anthony Davis are the 2 best combination stars. Not that they're the best players. LeBron's the best player, but Anthony Davis is the best counterpart to LeBron. It's better than KD and Harden. The only thing it's not better than is KD, Harden, and Irving, but we're probably never going to see that this year, and that's why the Brooklyn Nets are not even going to make it out of the East. The Milwaukee Bucks are going to be right back where they were last year in the NBA championship. LeBron's going to take down the reigning MVP. LeBron's going to take down the reigning NBA champions and a future Hall of Famer in Giannis, and it's going to be amazing. But I'm here to tell you, the Los Angeles Lakers, if they stay healthy, their squad is terrifying. Forget about age. Age is just a number. Carmelo Anthony can still score the basketball. Trevor Ariza can still play defense and rebound the basketball. We still have guys on that team that can play elite level basketball. DeAndre Jordan goes from 3 DNPs in last year's playoffs with the Brooklyn Nets to a starter for the Los Angeles Lakers, and on opening night, he looked pretty darn good. First play of the game, he caught a lob and almost slammed it on, I forget whose head it was over. But, I mean, this Los Angeles Lakers team has the best player in the NBA. I don't understand why we're even still arguing this. LeBron, when healthy, has proven he's still the best player in the NBA. And he's not the best scorer. He's not the best defender. He's not the best rebounder. It's what he can accumulate and do all of that. Still better than Kevin Durant can do all of that. Still better than Giannis can do all of that. Still better than insert whoever you think is the best player in the NBA. The next closest player is Luka Doncic. It goes LeBron. This is just for me. LeBron, KD, and Luka are very close. KD's got better defense. I think Luka's more talented and will be, but I'm going to go KD out of respect. LeBron, KD, Luka, Giannis. Those are my top four right now. But the Los Angeles Lakers will win this year's championship. They will be playing the Milwaukee Bucks. And we will see LeBron James not only get his fifth ring, not only hoist his fifth banner, not only have his fifth MVP of the NBA Finals, but he will officially become the greatest player of all time. Just saying, that's how it's going to work. Not that I was trying to segue the GOAT conversation into this, but just wanted to throw that one out there. That is my official prediction. All right, let's finish up with some NFL power rankings. I told you I'm going to update this every 2 weeks. And once again, I told you, the show is going under some construction. We're changing some stuff, streamlining some stuff. So if these episodes seem a little shorter, we've got a whole lot more that's in the works. It's just I'm a one-man band right now, but that's getting ready to change. Very exciting news, but we'll let you know about that in the future. So here we go. My NFL power rankings. Sitting at number 1 has got to be the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, undefeated, 6-0. Kyler Murray's playing like the MVP of the NFL right now. For me, it's Kyler Murray and Derrick Henry are the 2 MVP leaders for this year so far. The Arizona Cardinals look scary, folks. They've got a defense that can pressure the quarterback. They've got Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt. They've got an offense that now adding Zach Ertz just is ridiculous. James Conner running the ball very effectively. Chris Edmonds behind him, very effective. You're now adding Zach Ertz to that offense, giving a reliable tight end to a reliable quarterback. I knew A.J. Green was going to change life. I didn't know by how much. The problem is when you're doubling up on D-Hop, you're leaving A.J. Green one-on-one. And guess what? A.J. Green can still win those battles. A.J. Green is still an effective wide receiver. Even at his age of whatever he is, 32, 33. A lot of people thought AJ was basically going to Arizona to die, and AJ is not. He's burning fools one-on-one. Right now, they are playing like the best offense in the league. Kansas City has not looked like that whatsoever. But for me, the Arizona Cardinals, there's no way that you're 6-0 and I'm dropping you any lower. Defense looks good. Offense looks even better. At number 2, I previously had the Buffalo Bills pretty high, but the Buffalo Bills just lost to the Tennessee Titans. So the Bills are going to drop a little bit, not too far, I promise, but I'm going to go at number 2 for me right now. Teams that I'm scared of, and these are my power rankings. I mean, I'm still going to go with Tampa Bay. I don't understand why everybody's disrespecting them. Their defense hasn't played the best. We know that Devin White and that defense are a championship caliber defense and was the best defense when it came to the time that mattered, which was the playoff time and, of course, the championship where they wrecked Patrick Mahomes. But the Bucs have also been dealing with injuries. I mean, injuries and COVID. Antonio Brown's been out due to COVID, and he's become a crucial part to that offense. But still, this team's offense is still rolling. They still have the greatest of all time in Tom Brady at the quarterback helm. Their pass rush is finally, the last 2 weeks, is finally starting to pick up. They're starting to get pressure on the quarterbacks. I mean, Tampa Bay should be right there in line to do exactly what they did last year. I mean, they have one bad game and everybody wants to drop them off. Absolutely not. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, second best team in the NFL right now. And once they get fully healthy with Gronkowski back and their defense starts playing, they're going to be terrifying. At number 3 for me, the Los Angeles Rams. Once again, had one bad game. Everybody all of a sudden wants to drop the Los Angeles Rams all the way down the ladder and say, oh, well, you know, we knew that Matthew Stafford couldn't do it all on his own, blah, 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 blah. If you saw that no-look pass from Matthew Stafford last week, you were as blown away as I was. But the Los Angeles Rams, their biggest flaw right now is their defense isn't playing the type of ball that they have been playing over the last 2 seasons. So while their offense looks great, and while Matthew Stafford has a special arm talent, their defense has got to step up. Now they finally got back on track and started playing a little bit better. But the biggest question mark for these Los Angeles Rams, and the reason I don't have them any higher or any lower, and I just have them sitting here at 3, is the Los Angeles Rams have shown signs of brilliance, have shown signs of domination on defense, have shown signs of a very strong special teams, and then they haven't. Consistency from this Rams team will be the difference on this team and their ability to make a Super Bowl. If they can finally just stay consistent on all 3 phases of the game, I think this team is a real danger to anybody, not only in the NFC, but a real danger to anybody in the NFL to win the Super Bowl. At number 4, the Buffalo Bills. They had a heartbreaking loss to the Tennessee Titans, but a lot did go wrong for the Buffalo Bills. I mean, there were several drops. Josh Allen just simply slipped trying to go for it. Probably would have picked that up, I'd say 99% of any other time. While it was a great win for the Tennessee Titans, I do believe that the Buffalo Bills are still serious contenders at 4-2. Josh Allen is still the real deal. Their offense is still powerful. What's intriguing about this offense is their running backs are finally starting to run consistently. And Singletary and Moss, which is the biggest flaw that they've had over the last couple of seasons. Everybody wanted to point to Josh Allen failing here or Josh Allen failing there, but it was their run game that could build no consistency, could build no safety net for Josh Allen. So now that the running game is starting to be effective, they've got a great defense. Gregory Rousseau, the young rookie, is a monster, and it was an amazing pickup for this team. The Buffalo Bills should be right there in conversation, and I think that they are going to, the way the Kansas City Chiefs are playing, I don't believe that they are the team to beat this year. I believe the Buffalo Bills are the team to beat in the AFC this year, and I'm interested to see if Josh Allen cracks under that pressure or if he continually rises, because we have seen him grow from year to year. We've seen him start to win big games. We're seeing him start to gain confidence. But can he be the best quarterback in this division this year? Can he be the best player come playoff time? He has that. I do sincerely believe he has that capability because the Buffalo Bills have enough supporting around him to do so. So I think they are the team to beat this year come playoff time. At number 5, I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. They had a very, very convincing win against the Chargers. Listen, the Chargers, folks, are no slouches. Lamar Jackson is proving that he can consistently throw the football, and that is danger to the rest of the NFL. I have said it. If I've said it once, I've said it 10,000 times on this podcast. If Lamar Jackson can throw an accurate football, if Lamar Jackson can throw a consistent football, if Lamar Jackson can be Lamar Jackson and be able to throw a football, then Lamar Jackson's unstoppable. The Baltimore Ravens offense is nigh to unstoppable, and their defense doesn't have to do a whole lot in order for this team to win football games. If Lamar Jackson can run how he does, if he can be Lamar, and he can deliver accurate footballs to Hollywood Brown like he's been doing, if he can deliver accurate footballs to Rashad Bateman whenever he comes around, they can run the football. But if he can do all of that, this team is the scariest team in the NFL because they're so unpredictable on how they can beat you on offense. If Lamar Jackson can run as effective as he does and throw as effectively as he has been, there's no answer. You can't take away the run because it's impossible to stop the run. And therefore, you can't, at this point, take away the pass because he's starting to light you up. It's going to be a pick your poison just like Tom Brady did last year in the Super Bowl. All right, you want to press up, you want to play zone, you want to take away Tom Brady's arm? Guess what? Leonard Fournette's going to hit you for $160 and 2 touchdowns. Best offenses in the league are ones that are not one-dimensional. The teams that win Super Bowls are teams that are not one-dimensional. And the Baltimore Ravens are a scary, scary team. This is what I love about the NFL, by the way. The NFL has got 6-7 teams that I think could win the Super Bowl. And I'm being 100% serious. I'm not trying to joke at all. It's got 6 or 7 teams that I think could go out there and win the Super Bowl this year. And the Baltimore Ravens are a scary, scary team if they continue on this uptrend. At number 6, and this is going to shock a lot of people. It's going to shock me even for saying it, the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott's the real deal. Dak Prescott is playing like the real deal. I hate the Cowboys. I genuinely hate the Cowboys. And I more so hate their fans. It's like Alabama. It's not that I hate good teams. It's the fact that I hate 90% of your fans. Because you're just, every year, you're the most obnoxious people to ever walk this earth. But I've got to give it to them. The Dallas Cowboys are winning football games. Now, while they're not dominating these football games, they're winning good football games. And partially, I want to say it's all because of Dak. But honestly, their run game with Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard is just a thunder and lightning. You've got Tony Pollard bursting out of the backfield with his speed, and then you just have Zeke rumbling, bumbling, and stumbling to first downs. While they lack in defense severely, I think that's not only their weakest. Trayvon Diggs, the Diggs brothers. Trayvon Diggs is slowly becoming the best player on defense this year. He's the defensive player of the year right now. Who cares if you can't rush the quarterback? If you have a guy that's just going to intercept the ball every time you throw it. If Dak Prescott stays healthy, if Ezekiel Elliott stays healthy, if Tony Pollard stays healthy, barring any injuries, this is going to be one of the top offenses in the NFL. And if Trayvon Diggs can just do what he's doing, which is making quarterbacks second guess and picking the ball off every other game, this defense will be just good enough to make things interesting. So while I hate to admit it, the Dallas Cowboys, I think, are a little bit legit this year. Number 7, the Green Bay Packers. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. Davante Adams is Davante Adams. That Packers defense, while it's not what it used to be, is still good enough to get stuff done. But the real thing here is, I was one of the biggest people about this. I thought that the noise before the season was going to derail this whole season, trash this whole season, and now Aaron Rodgers is out here telling my Bears that he still owns them. The fact of the matter is, sometimes greatness overcomes the asshole. Sometimes greatness overcomes the asshole. And simply put it, Aaron Rodgers is just playing great, folks. I hate to admit it. Davante Adams is just playing great. And usually this model doesn't work in the NFL. Usually just having two great players isn't enough to make you the number 1 seed in your division. Usually just having two great players isn't enough to make you a Super Bowl contender. But they are, and it is. Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers, and you might even throw in Aaron Jones, but those two alone are good enough to get the Packers to a Super Bowl. And I hate to admit it. Their defense, when you have a guy like Aaron Rodgers, their defense just has to be okay. And it is just okay. But the combination of Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers is the first combination that I've ever seen of two players being able to dominate in the NFL. All right, and the next 3 teams, the Chargers, the Chargers, the Titans, and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chargers, we all know that Justin Herbert had a bad game. He had a bad loss to the Baltimore Ravens. But the Chargers are a legit team. They have legit wins on their resume. I hate when everybody just all of a sudden wants to drop off the Los Angeles Chargers. Oh, well, they had a bad loss, so therefore they need to be out of the top. No, they have legit wins against legit contending opponents. They're, I think, at least a year to 2 years away from being not only division favorites, but being Super Bowl favorites, and I'm dead serious about that. But Justin Herbert's the real deal. This team's the real deal. The Tennessee Titans, there's no doubt in my mind that after that win against the Buffalo Bills, the Tennessee Titans, they have a shot, and I mean a shot, to win a Super Bowl. The thing that the Tennessee Titans are fighting right now, honestly, is injuries. Their defense can't stay healthy. They don't have cornerbacks that can stay healthy. Caleb Farley, their first-round cornerback, just tore his ACL. If the Titans could get a steady group on defense that could build some chemistry, their offense can score with the best of them. Derrick Henry right now is my second in line for the NFL MVP. When you have a guy like Derrick Henry who's unstoppable, you have a puncher's chance. But I'm telling you, this Titans team needs to find some sort of consistency on defense. I think the Bills win was a massive win for them, a big confidence booster. And I'm excited to see where these Tennessee Titans rank here in the near future, because they could do some real damage, and they for sure are going to win that division. So let's see where the Tennessee Titans are in a couple of weeks. If they can get some injuries back on the defensive side of the football and they can get some consistency there. And then, of course, lastly, the Kansas City Chiefs. All you need to know is Patrick Mahomes. It's literally the one word. That's all I'm going to say. Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes. If Patrick Mahomes is healthy, Patrick Mahomes is dangerous. If Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs are most likely going to be right back in that conversation. I don't care that their defense is terrible. Patrick Mahomes can fix everything. Well, there you have it. That is my NFL Power Rankings after Week 6. Wow, I can't believe we're already on Week 6. Week 6 Power Rankings. Let me know what you think. Listen, I appreciate everybody joining us today. We've got so many big things coming to the Locker Room Podcast. So many big things coming to That's Life. There's just so much going on. We're adding people. So I'm actually getting a staff here at the Locker Room Podcast. It's just mind-blowing. But I want to thank you all for joining me. Make sure you're following us on our social media. Once again, everybody, I'm Jacob Courtwright. This is The Locker Room.